Okay, we have today the continuation of our studies. We are studying the spiritual colonies. Remember when we were told, we were asked to expand a little bit more on that, which is good because last time we did a series, the other time we did last month a series of talks or this study talking about the perispirit, the spirit body of the spirit, and now it's time for us to understand.
Frozen.
So we commonly talk about, our return to the spirit realm. Just one thing, I just got a note here that the internet is unstable. So worst case scenario, I'll try to get over the phone, but then we will not have the slideshow. Okay, but keep me posted there. And if I drop, perhaps everyone else will have to get in again. So we will continue talking now about the places, because it's not that we return, this idea that I'm going to return to the spirit realm and will be kind of homeless, right? Is sleeping in the next cloud or an available cloud. This is not the way it is. We constantly are reminded by the spirits that everything that we have, that we see here on planet Earth, actually is not so good copy of what we have in the spirit realm. So yes, we do have cities, we do have houses and everything that pertains to that, places that will function as hospitals, specialized, of course, in the assistance of, all the spirits that may be, transferring from one plane to the other. If we do recall, for instance, in the book Nosso Lar by the spirit Andrew Lewis, the medium Francisco Xavier, it talks about Andrew Lewis, the spirit, actually being transferred from one region and the spirit realm to a hospital in this spiritual colony called Nosso Lar. So they have squares, they have the water places, they have, a kind of governance, always based on marriage and not on, anything else. They have the fences because at the same time, they're depending on where are located, and many of them are located in not necessarily wonderful or, let's call it balanced neighborhood. There may be spirits that still do not qualify to be eligible to live in a certain kind of place, but they will try to impose themselves. So all of that, like we have the normal structures here on our planet. So we have spiritual colonies that are destined to rescue. So they aim to assist and support the discarnates that are in some way prisoners of their own personal dramas. So again, let's take as an example, because we have it so clearly described to us in this book, Nosso Lar, by the spirit Andrew Lewis, his own experience. He was in a personal drama. He was in a place he didn't know exactly where he was. He was suffering. He had hunger and thirsty and all the things that he was missing. And so this is one of the, the colonies, the spiritual colonies, cities, places, whatever we want to call, that will be destined for those kind of spirits. Let's say the first 8 colonies, right, where they will be transferred from place. Sometimes, even being linked to our, or emotionally attached, linked perhaps would not be the appropriate word, but emotionally attached to our burial site, right? And so we require assistance. And so those are the rescuers one. The correctional ones, they serve to people that have committed suicide, drug addicts, all those that were tremendously compromised by vices or crimes. I think that at this point, it could one question could come up to our minds, thinking, but why all the separation? We do the same thing here, right? We have special places because they require different things. They require different treatment. So they have to have special places. So a place that is more specific for this kind of assistance, this kind of treatment, is going to be much more adequate for the spirits. And we have colonies that are dedicated to study, development of the arts, research on self-knowledge, scientific research. So when we are already in a more stable emotional state, where we do know what we want, what is best for us, and we understand our situation as being one of, how do I say, one of being in the spirit realm, we, of course, we are more capable of start going to places where we're going to, how do I say, to kind of work on my personal development, right? And then according to my inclination, is going to be much better in this sense. Okay, do you have any questions at this moment?
Yes, Josiah, I have a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Shalad.
Yeah, it seems to me that spiritual colonies in the spiritual world, you said it a little while ago, it's a lot of comparison to our lives here. The only difference is that we don't have the body. We're in the spirit world. And they have, I suppose, is greater than what we have here on this world, because here is where we learn and develop and become the best that we can there. But, what is it's just the difference is the body and the spirit. Is this what it is? It seems to me is, you understand what I'm saying? We're in the physical world where we come here to evolve and do the best that we can. But, we are on our own. But here in the spiritual world, we're not. Is that the difference? I'm assuming, I'm sure, no?
Well, let's say when we are talking about colonies, like we have the one, for instance, no solar, that is not out of our reach, okay? Because sometimes we read that and say, oh, I'm never going to be able to live in a spiritual colony like that one. No, this is not true, okay? It doesn't require us to be that special, that knowledgeable about spiritual issue. It requires a good heart. It requires, us having made the effort to become better, us trying to overcome at least our imperfections, not committing ourselves to, self-destruction and destruction of others. So it's not that that hard, especially I mentioned for us that have been in this path, in this journey. And again, it doesn't matter how long, because it's not a matter of quantity, but quality, what we have actually gathering from now. Once I know something, I know something. It doesn't matter if it took me 50 years, 10 years, or 5 minutes, right? I mean, so let's not measure that by time. Okay, so when we are talking about life in one of those colonies, Zoraida, is even the physicality of a physical body, we do have it, right? We saw that in terms when we were studying the perispirit. The perispirit is a physical body,
Right.
with physical needs that pertain to the, to life condition that we have on the spirit realm. Like, for instance, here, if I live in the North Pole, and all of a sudden I have to go through in a very high mountain in the North Pole, and all of a sudden I go live in Africa, in a very uh, warm place, at the level of the sea. Even the air that we breathe is different. Our body will have to adapt to that. The food that we will have to eat is going to be different, because because of very low temperatures, our body may require different kind of nourishment. In very high temperatures, it's different, more water than the other place. So you see, not to mention, the garments, all of that we have, the types of house. I never forgot once that I went, the first time I went to Las Vegas, right?
Las
That's what
Vegas.
I say. Las Vegas. I'm thinking about the vegan, the vegan from Las Vegas. And it doesn't need to stay in Vegas. Okay, we took a tour. It was even before we had all this. I mean, there was some big hotels, but not like now. And I remember that we took a tour in the city. I don't even think why did we took a tour to see Las Vegas. How the citizens of Vegas live it. And then there was one thing, the guide was showing us that all the roofs were flat. And I never forgot about it. And he said, "Oh, do you realize that here all the roofs are flat because we don't need point roofs, because we don't have snow that has to come down." Wow. So here, and even the rain that should come down here, it doesn't accumulate. So if we have the flat roof, for whatever reason, it was better, less warm, something like that, and also because of the weather conditions. So we see even in this one country, okay, we don't even have to travel the world, we will see different architectures according to the life conditions. So when we're talking about the spiritual world, is exactly the same. So depending on how our spiritual condition, we will adapt to a certain place or the other. And when we talk spiritual condition, is everything in the mind. Again, remembering the the questions that Orlando always asks us, it's never about the physical body, it's always about the mind. What is our mind doing, thinking, requiring? This is the certificate that will place me according to my mental outlook. And yes, I mean, if we are capable of being in a spiritual colony, like, not necessarily, because this is not the only one, right? Like Nosso Lar, we can definitely be, we will have, more interesting or sincere relationships, because people cannot hide things there, right? It's written in your face entirely, right? So we will have interesting occupations and all that. So I don't know if I
Thank you.
answered the
Yes, no,
question,
you answered, no, you
but
answered
we
the
will have
question
a
perfectly.
more,
Thank you.
yeah, we will
I have
have,
a question.
yes, go ahead.
Then those colonies are still considered like our planet Earth, because we are not talking here about another planets, because I understand we are not ready yet to move for another more developed planet. Then those colonies are around our planet, right?
Yeah,
Or not?
well, we have in everywhere, okay, in the whole universe. But we are mostly talking about spiritual colonies that are connected with spirits that have been having their life experience on planet Earth. So some are very, depending on the level, they can be very close to the Earth's crust, and others can be a little more. But we don't know, right? I mean, to say exactly the locations, but wherever they are in space, they are connected, and people that are there mostly are connected to life on Earth. Of course, it doesn't mean that we cannot have, spirits that have been developing in other planets, like it's happening now in the planetary transition, that we are receiving many spirits incarnating here from another planet, because they are more evolved and they can help boost our uh, you know perfecting waves, right, with their examples. So where are they? Right, they are located in different dimensions than ours in the energy sphere of planet Earth. So here, if you can see here in the middle, we have what would be planet Earth, and then we have levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As we can see, Nos Solar is somewhat between 4 and even 3. A little part of Nos Solar is in this area here. So the closer we are in the spiritual colonies to Earth, let's say the more material we are, or the more material-like we are, not only in terms of the physicality of our spiritual body, but also of what our desires. So if I am, in level 2 here, the lower umbral, okay, that we call the lower zones, it's because I'm still very subject to everything pertaining to Earth. I cannot disconnect from being updated in everyone else's life. So I will be following, my friends that I left, my family. I cannot get rid of the desire to, eat, drink, smoke, everything that is related to here, or and I'll be always looking for connections with things that used to attract me. So I will be much more subjected, and sometimes even feeling much more physicality than on other levels. Okay, questions, comments? Yes.
Hi, Jasad. I have a question. I don't recall the name of the book, but maybe there was more than one in Andre Louis' collection, that there were some of those centers that they could move, they had a defense mechanism because they would be attacked. I don't know if any of you remember those passages in those books. I'm assuming they are much lower than Nosso Lar because they were in a zone that was constantly attacked. Would that make sense that they are like 2 or 3? Do you recall this, what I'm talking about from the books?
Yes, I do recall. We normally call those places, I think we are going to be talking about it now. They are called, outposts.
Yes,
okay,
outposts,
so
exactly.
I mean, they can even transfer whole cities. This is not something that is impossible, but we have outposts that sometimes they serve a certain region. Okay, let's say that we have a very difficult region of conflict, like we had with World War II. Okay, although it was mostly Europe where all the confrontations were happening. So a lot of outposts were placed there in order to rescue the spirits that were living life sudden in a very tragic way and traumatic way due to war. Once that was over, they didn't need to have as many or to stay in this or that location. You see, so this is going to vary as well according to the situation. Let's say now that we would have a special region that is really having much more cases of COVID death than others. You can be sure that they place it there already, an outpost where they will be ready to give all the assistance and trying to prevent as well, to help people in this sense, but also being ready to rescue all of those that are going to be perishing in this so hard circumstance. So yes, they can be moving, but some of the cities that, like for instance, Nosso Lar, for this city to transfer, I don't know. Of course, like I said, it can be transferred, okay, but I would say that we would remain there for some more centuries.
Question.
Okay. Yes.
Number 7, planet directions. Is that the location of those who control what happens on planet Earth?
I would assume that would be those that are involved, spirits that have the possibility of being involved in everything that is happening below 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not only Earth, but all the spiritual colonies that encompasses that. Thinking as we normally say that Jesus is the governor of our planet and everything that is around, we can imagine that spirits that work together with Jesus would pertain to this kind of category, or would have a temporary residence, because not necessarily they will be staying there, right? Thinking about everything that pertains to, like Sonia was saying, to the spiritual involvement of the souls that are connected, the spirits that are connected to planet Earth, whether they are in number 1 or in the others, in a spiritual body.
One other question.
But definitely, yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
What does Alvarado Nova refer to?
It's another spiritual colony that is very, the translation would be New Dawn. That is a spiritual colony. We will talk about that colony later as well. It's a spiritual colony like Nosso Lar in a different place, and kind of the same level of non-solar. One other
Thank you.
Jusara,
group of, yes.
does the good and bad and the need for religion, does it exist in this planets?
It's a very good question, Orlando.
What is known as evil, does it still exist?
This again, this was a drawing that was received through mediumship. Again, this is not, written in stone. Okay, this is just a classification that it was received through mediumship for us to have an idea of what are the levels, the spiritual spheres that exist in the spirit realm. All of them according to the goodness that exists in us, except from planet Earth, where we are all mixed. And even when I say we are all mixed, if there is someone that at this point is really just wicked, completely wicked, probably this spirit is in the process of being transferred to another more primitive planet at this moment, because as we know, it has been said for quite some time now, decades, we are going through a period of transition, planetary transition that reflects our spiritual involvement. So, but yeah, we even going through, from a planet of trials and atonements to a world of regeneration, it doesn't mean that we don't have the bad here. We do, and we will have the bad in certain regions. I would say that up to region 4, there will be much more bad inclinations than good. Even when we talk about a place like Nosolar, we will see, of course, much less than 1, 2, 3, but we will still see displays of imbalance, of rebelliousness. Religion is a very good that you say, because it will come a time where we will not be any longer restrained by labels. Okay, now we label ourselves. You're a Christian, you're a Jew, you're a Spiritist, you're a Muslim, you're a Hindu, you're a Buddhist, you're something else. Okay, and we separate each other. It will come a time, the more we evolve, that we will all have a notion of the creator. We will not all have a better notion of the creation. We will all understand that we are a result of this creator. And instead of, going separate ways, we will converge to the same truth. So now it's like, the image that is coming to me, that image that we have from Paris of the Arc of the Triumph Arch, where you have several avenues, that everything converged to that. So those several avenues, okay, each one represent a way of thinking, religious, race, whatever, but everything is going to converge and reach the same point. And so the more we evolve, the more we reach the same point. While we see that much separation in whatever it is, it's because we are still far from getting there.
I just want to quickly say this. That was very beautiful explanation. And I'm so happy that you understand me, my thinking. And the final question is, do I have a case against this, the spirit world regarding reincarnation? Just causing the, as you're demonstrating now, how they have to put spirits in other locations. So I'm trying to build my case, and I thank you.
It's not, you see, it's not necessary an exile. You see, it's always free will. We say, I mean, if you go to live, let's say that you're going to live in a halfway house, okay? There are rules. They say, I can offer you a room, I can offer you food, but we have rules here. Are those rules okay for you? Can you comply with them? If you can, here is the key. If you cannot, it's your choice. You see, this is the same thing. It's not that there are spirits that have been expelled. They no longer find the condition, and they don't have interest in continuing if this means that they have to change. So reincarnation is a blessing, is an opportunity for us to, you know, how many times we commit a mistake and we say to ourselves, oh my God, I wish I could go back and erase all that and do it all over again. Okay, that's reincarnation. It's your wishful thinking, you know, the Aladdin bottle lamp, right? You go there and say, I want to start over. They say, yeah, here's your wish. You're going to be born like almost like brand new, blank slate, not exactly, but more or less, because we don't remember, and we start as a baby, a new life, and we have an opportunity to do different. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we don't, and we say, you know what, I still need more lives, I still need more opportunities, and we can come back again.
I
Let's
just
go
want to
here.
say, I can't believe you are a spiritist that has an open mind that I have not seen yet in other spiritists.
Well, Orlando, I try to do my best. Okay, sorry, the other, I don't know why the other one's just in Portuguese. It's talk about here. It's talk about what are the materials that spiritual cities are made, and they say that they are made of materials that we still with our five senses cannot see. If there are work and if there are workers, and of course there is always work, but in this case it will be work that we will be very pleased to do. And why were they done? And the answer is because of the God's mercy. Because when we return to the spiritual cities, we still have so much the impressions of the matter, like hunger, thirsty, and need to rest, and then we will find spiritual cities as a point of reference, and that in a way reproduce similar situations to those that we have lived on earth. So those are the main reasons why those cities exist. So let's talk about the nosso lar, the one that we are very familiar through the spirit Andrea Lewis. And it talks, nosso lar, the spiritual colony, where we can read a lot and understand in the book, as we showed before, it's situated is still in a lower zone. And some parts are lower than others, but it's not necessarily in very evolved regions. And that's why I said, it doesn't require much for us to be eligible to to go there, right? To make a reservation now for open reservation, okay? It's of average evolution. because although you see this, the inhabitants are devoted to goodness, they still carry imperfections. So it's like we do every day, like, oh my God, I wanted to be better. Why did I have to think that? Why did I have to do that? Why did I have to buy something that I didn't need, right? All those little things, or say, or make a comment about someone that I should have refrained from. So those are the things that we still, as average, pertaining to an average involvement, we will still have. So no longer wickedness than within ourselves, right? I mean, the desire to do bad. I feel good doing bad. I want to destroy. I want to. Okay, of course, those kind of thoughts are not compatible with what we are talking about here. But we saw, for instance, in the book Nosso Lar, that one woman that complained about, oh, you're giving me too much work. I don't like to do this work. I don't like that work as well. That is still lazy. Or people that are even like Andrea Luiz. At the beginning, he wanted only to return to Earth to see his wife, his children, to know how they're doing, and basically how much they were missing him, of course. And surprise, surprise, when he returned, his wife was remarried, his children were doing very, very well, not needing him. So sometimes we present all those selfish and vain aspects of ourselves. But it's not evil, it's not bad, it's just ignorance, it's just imperfection. And so if we are like this, there is no reason why we cannot go there. Not now, right? Okay,
Which language they speak? Like Portuguese in Nosso Lar, and there are another colonies speak another language to welcome people from another countries, and or in the same colony you have like extra 4 different languages.
What we know is that, of course, we have information, and much more information about the spiritual colonies in Brazil, but we have information about here in the US as well, in places in Europe. There's this one that I think even Thomas Edison talked about. We will see here the Summerland, places like that. So again, spirit are going to gather in one place according to their level of involvement. And in there, we will find agglomerations of affinity. So I was a writer, there is a group of writers. So let's say that I'm going to be living in the block of writers. It could be like that. In terms of languages, everything is going to depend on your propensity. If you live in Brazil and spoke the language and you feel comfortable there, you will go to a colony there. If you are just an immigrant that never felt that was your place and your place was your country of origin, you will be directed to a spiritual colony in your country of knowledge, where you will be feeling much more, at home. In terms of talking, of course, in the spiritual colony like Nosso Lar, we still use, let's say, verbal communication. And in other spiritual colonies, there is not going to be even that. So the language that we speak, it doesn't matter, because it's just images, telepathy that we are going to be communicating. So there is so much, and so much that we still do not know and understand. But what we need to know, it's basically, I would say, above every city, there will be someplace, be it a spiritual colony or an outpost to be under rescue. Just for us to have an idea, they even say that at every spiritist center, they have like a direct connection with one of those spiritual colonies or outposts. So every spiritist center, in Brazil, we have almost 16,000. So there will be 16,000. And now that we are doing all our prayers and studies at home, maybe we can even consider that according to how we develop that, we will be also serving as a place of connection to other outposts, etc. Okay, a little bit more. So in nosso lar, suffering can still be found, but its inhabitants, being of intermediary evolution, are more enlightened. So there will be suffering because I still miss my family, my ways, the work that I was developing and I couldn't finish. But it's suffering, not despair. You see, there is a difference in that, the constant longing for something. The spiritual position favors nature, which is characterized by beauties and harmonies non-existent in the inferior planes. So they talk about the places of water, the vegetation, the hues that, of colors that we are able to see there. There is always, the work of the spirits, and in this sense to even help to change the spiritual atmosphere of Earth. Okay, we are always worried about what kind of, pollution we are having here, but we are talking about mental pollution that has to, the spiritual atmosphere that is a result of our way of being. There are people that will be conducting dedicated work all the time to, of course, be able to even reincarnate in better places and to assure their happiness for future times. Let me see, how is it? Okay, so we're going to be stopping here today because then we change a little bit. If there is any more question or comment. Okay.